Beneath the glittering gold of King Tut's mask lies a mystery no one ever expected.
Made of solid gold and weighing some 25 pounds, it's a masterpiece of early goldsmiths' work.
A secret hidden for millennia, waiting to be uncovered. Ancient craftsmanship, strange anomalies, and symbols no one could decipher have left historians stunned.
Once Carter began unwrapping the mummy of Tutankhamun and removed the funerary death mask, he was able to see the face of Tutankhamun, which hadn't been seen by any living person for nearly 3,500 years.
The Boy King's golden mask isn't just a treasure. It's a key to secrets that could rewrite the story of ancient Egypt, revealing truths about his life, his death, and the shadowy world the pharaohs tried to conceal forever.
The most important of those magical objects was the death mask. This golden portrait, a clear likeness of Tutankhamun, was vital.
Every inch of this mask tells a story, and the world is finally listening. A face meant for eternity. In the winter of 1925, deep inside Egypt's Valley of the Kings, silence filled the burial chamber of a forgotten pharaoh. As archaeologist Howard Carter carefully removed the final layers of linen from the mummy before him, a face of radiant gold emerged from the darkness, untouched, flawless, and staring back across more than 3 millennia of history. It was the funerary mask of King Tutankhamun, and in that moment, the ancient world seemed to breathe again.
Tutankhamun's mask is an icon. And I think part of it is because it is made of solid gold, and a lot of people get wowed by that.
The mask weighs just over 11 kilograms and is formed almost entirely from solid gold, a material the ancient Egyptians believed to be the flesh of the gods. Gold did not tarnish or decay. It symbolized eternity itself. This was not art created for the living. It was a sacred object designed to preserve the king's identity forever and ensure his rebirth in the afterlife. Tutankhamun is shown wearing the royal Nemes headdress, crowned with the cobra wajet and the vulture nekhbet, symbols of Lower and Upper Egypt united under one divine ruler. His expression is calm and idealized, not a realistic portrait, but a perfected image meant for eternity. The eyes, crafted from quartz and obsidian, were designed to reflect light, creating the unsettling illusion that the king was still watching. The surface of the mask is inlaid with colored glass, turquoise, carnelian, and faience, arranged in precise symbolic patterns. Each color carried meaning in ancient Egyptian belief: blue for the heavens, green for rebirth, red for power and protection. Nothing on the mask was chosen by chance. Every detail served a spiritual purpose. Engraved across the shoulders and the back are hieroglyphic spells taken from chapter 151 of the Book of the Dead. These inscriptions were not decoration. They were protective incantations, calling upon gods such as Anubis, Osiris, Horus, and Ra to guard the king's body and soul and guide him safely through the dangers of the afterlife. Modern scientific studies later revealed something unexpected. The mask is not made from a single piece of gold, but from multiple gold alloys fused together with remarkable precision. The gold used for the face differs in composition from the gold of the headdress, suggesting separate phases of construction. This discovery raised new questions about how and for whom the mask was originally made. Other anomalies soon followed. The mask's pierced ears are highly unusual for a male pharaoh, and were more commonly associated with royal women or children. Even more intriguing were signs of alteration, faint traces where hieroglyphs had been erased and replaced, and subtle reshaping of the gold. These details suggest the mask may have been modified shortly before burial. The historical context offers a possible explanation. Tutankhamun ruled during a time of political and religious chaos, following the upheaval caused by Akhenaten's radical reforms. When Tutankhamun died suddenly at around 18 or 19 years of age, Egypt was unprepared. His tomb was small, his burial rushed, and many of his funerary objects show clear evidence of reuse. Some Egyptologists believe the mask may originally have been intended for another royal figure, possibly Queen Nefertiti or the mysterious ruler Neferuaten, before being hastily adapted for the boy king. If true, this would mean the most famous artifact in ancient Egypt was never meant for Tutankhamun at all. For nearly a century, the mask was admired as a flawless masterpiece, sealed behind glass and protected from touch. Yet its inner structure, hidden layers, and quiet alterations remained unexplored. Beneath its perfect golden surface, unanswered questions lingered. waiting for the moment when science would finally dare to look closer. When science dared to look closer. For decades after its discovery, King Tutankhamun's mask was treated as untouchable. It was admired, photographed, and guarded as one of Egypt's greatest treasures, but no one dared to examine it beyond what the eye could see. Any attempt to probe beneath its surface risked damaging an artifact that could never be replaced. For much of the 20th century, the mask remained frozen in time, its secrets locked behind gold. That changed as Egyptology entered the modern scientific age. By the early 2000s, researchers had successfully used advanced scanning technologies on Tutankhamun's mummy, uncovering details about his age, physical condition, and injuries without disturbing the remains. These breakthroughs quietly challenged long-standing assumptions and sparked a new idea among scientists. If technology could see inside a mummy, could it also reveal the hidden structure of the mask itself? The first real insights came during detailed conservation and documentation work. High-resolution digital scans and metallurgical studies were conducted to understand the mask's condition and preserve it for future generations. What began as routine analysis soon revealed something unexpected. Beneath the smooth exterior, scientists detected subtle variations in thickness, invisible joins, and internal stress patterns within the gold. These irregularities suggested that the mask was not formed in a single, uninterrupted process. A critical moment came during the examination of the mask's ceremonial beard. When conservators removed it to correct a modern restoration error, they uncovered ancient adhesives and tool marks beneath the join. This evidence showed that the beard had been detached and reattached in antiquity, not just in recent times. The discovery confirmed that the mask had undergone modification long before it was placed in Tutankhamun's tomb. Further study revealed that different sections of the mask were crafted using slightly different techniques. The face, the headdress, and the broad collar showed distinct manufacturing characteristics, indicating that more than one phase of construction had taken place. To researchers, this strongly suggested that the mask had been altered under pressure, possibly rushed during a time of political uncertainty. Historical records provide context for this urgency. Tutankhamun died suddenly around the age of 18 or 19, during a fragile period following years of religious and political upheaval. Egypt was unprepared for the death of a pharaoh, and royal craftsmen were forced to assemble a burial using available materials. Evidence of reused and adapted objects appears throughout the tomb, from coffins to jewelry. What made the mask extraordinary was its role. This was not merely a burial object, but the king's eternal identity. Altering such an item would have been a last resort, undertaken only in extreme circumstances. By the time the scientific examinations were complete, one conclusion became increasingly clear. The mask was not a flawless object created solely for Tutankhamun, untouched from the moment it left the workshop. It was a complex artifact with a hidden past, shaped by urgency, adaptation, and secrecy. And if the mask had already been changed once in antiquity, scientists began to ask a troubling question. What else might be concealed beneath its golden surface, waiting for technology to reveal it? The age of modern scans and the mask. For centuries, the mask revealed only what its makers intended the world to see: gold, symmetry, perfection. But modern science does not stop at surfaces. It looks for structure, composition, and memory locked inside matter itself. When researchers finally turned advanced scanning technologies toward Tutankhamun's mask, the goal was simple: understand how it was made without ever touching it. High-resolution imaging allowed scientists to study the mask as a layered object, rather than a single work of art. X-ray-based analysis and elemental mapping revealed variations in the gold alloy across different sections. These were not random. The face, Neem's headdress, and decorative elements showed subtle but measurable differences in composition and thickness, suggesting they were worked separately rather than formed all at once. Non-invasive internal scans exposed join lines hidden beneath polishing and engraving. These seams were invisible to the naked eye and impossible to detect with traditional methods. Their placement indicated intentional assembly, not repair. Ancient craftsmen had fused components so precisely that even modern instruments struggled to separate original shaping from later modification. At the microscopic level, researchers identified stress patterns in the metal consistent with reheating and reshaping. Gold records heat like a fingerprint. These signatures confirmed that parts of the mask had been reworked after their initial creation, long before the tomb was sealed. This was not damaged from time or excavation. It was an ancient intervention. More recent experimental techniques, including quantum-level sensing methods used in material science, have pushed analysis even further. These tools do not see images in the traditional sense. Instead, they detect minute changes in atomic behavior and energy response within materials. Applied carefully, they allow scientists to distinguish between gold refined under different conditions, offering clues about workshop practices and production timelines. The result was not a dramatic hidden object or secret inscription, but something far more unsettling, evidence of decision-making. The mask was not frozen in a single moment of creation. It evolved. It was adjusted to fit a purpose that may have changed suddenly and under pressure. This marked a turning point in Egyptology. The mask could no longer be treated as a sacred constant. It became a historical document written in metal, carrying traces of urgency, adaptation, and control. Modern science did not expose a flaw. It exposed a story the ancient world never meant to tell. One etched so deeply into gold that it survived for more than 3,000 years, waiting for the moment when humanity finally learned how to listen. The hidden history in gold. Once the mask's internal structure had been revealed, scholars realized that its story went far beyond craftsmanship. Every seam, alloy variation, and stress pattern suggested a past carefully concealed. The mask was not just a funerary object, it was a record of history, politics, and adaptation, frozen in gold. The first question researchers asked was why these modifications had been made. Tutankhamun died unexpectedly, around the age of 18 or 19, leaving Egypt unprepared for the sudden loss of a pharaoh. The kingdom needed a complete royal burial, fast. In this context, reusing or adapting existing artifacts was not only practical, it was essential. The mask, in this light, became evidence of a kingdom racing against time, making do with what was available to ensure the boy king's passage to eternity. Further scrutiny revealed that some internal adjustments corresponded to subtle changes in proportions, especially around the face. The cheeks, jawline, and eyes appeared to have been refined after the original creation. It was as though the mask was reshaped to match Tutankhamun's identity, rather than created specifically for him from the start. This finding added weight to long-standing theories that the mask may have originally been intended for another member of the royal family, possibly Nefertiti, or even Nefertiti. The inscriptions provided another layer of hidden history. Underneath the visible hieroglyphs, traces of erased names and titles could be detected through careful analysis. Original engravings had been deliberately removed and replaced, suggesting not just adaptation, but also a careful effort to overwrite a previous identity. The mask had become a tool of political narrative, reshaping memory itself while maintaining the appearance of perfection. This combination of structural modification and deliberate erasure transformed the way scholars viewed the mask. It was no longer simply an artifact of art or ritual. It was a political instrument, a silent witness to the chaos of Egypt's late 18th dynasty. The golden mask, long admired for its beauty and perfection, now told a deeper, more complex story, one of urgency, secrecy, and survival. The mask had preserved more than Tutankhamun's face. It had preserved the choices, pressures, and hidden histories of a kingdom struggling to maintain order amid crisis. And as science continued to probe its depths, it became clear that every discovery raised new questions about who the mask had once belonged to, and what history had been rewritten in its gold. The erased identity. The deeper researchers looked, the more the mask revealed its secrets, and the most unsettling discovery was hidden in plain sight: the erasure of a royal identity. In ancient Egypt, names were sacred. To remove or replace a name was to affect a person's eternal existence, and the mask, it seemed, bore silent evidence of such an act. Detailed analysis of the hieroglyphs showed inconsistencies in the inscriptions. Beneath the name, Tutankhamun, traces of earlier engravings were detected, carefully smoothed and reinscribed. This was not the work of modern restorers, but a deliberate ancient intervention. The mask had originally borne another identity, overwritten to fit the boy king after his sudden death. Historical context supports this possibility. Tutankhamun ascended the throne during a turbulent period following the religious revolution of Akhenaten, when the worship of Aten had replaced traditional gods. After Akhenaten's death, Egypt's court worked to restore the old order. Names were changed, monuments defaced or rewritten, and rulers' identities adjusted to stabilize the kingdom. The mask appears to have been part of this process. Some Egyptologists believe the mask may have originally belonged to Nefertiti, a mysterious ruler of the same period, possibly Queen Nefertiti acting as pharaoh. Artifacts from her reign are rare, and many show signs of erasure or adaptation. The precision with which the mask's inscriptions were altered suggests the intention was complete concealment. The original identity had to vanish entirely. This discovery transformed the mask from a symbol of artistic and religious perfection into a document of political necessity. It was no longer just the boy king's visage. It was a carefully rewritten historical record. Every polished surface, every engraved line, and every seam told a story of urgency, adaptation, and deliberate concealment. The mask had become more than gold and ritual. It was a testament to the power of memory and erasure, a silent witness to how history itself could be reshaped to preserve authority. And it posed a haunting question for modern scholars. If a royal identity could be completely erased from the most sacred object in Egypt, how much of the past has been rewritten to suit the living? A truth buried in gold. As the evidence came together, Egyptologists faced a reality that challenged decades of accepted belief. The mask of King Tutankhamun could no longer be seen simply as a flawless symbol of divine kingship. Instead, it emerged as a silent record of crisis, an object shaped not by ceremony alone, but by urgency, compromise, and political survival. For generations, Tutankhamun was viewed as a minor ruler whose global fame depended on the untouched condition of his tomb. His golden mask was treated as timeless, immune to the chaos that defined the final years of the 18th dynasty. Yet scientific findings told a very different story. Altered inscriptions, reused materials, internal modifications, and signs of hurried craftsmanship all pointed toward a burial carried out under pressure rather than careful preparation. This realization unsettled the foundations of Egyptology. Royal burials were believed to follow rigid religious protocols, planned long before death. The idea that the most sacred object of a pharaoh's burial could be altered at the last moment challenged the belief that religious order always outweighed political reality. Instead, the mask revealed a system struggling to maintain stability after the sudden death of a young king. Even more troubling were the broader implications. Ancient Egyptian history is largely reconstructed from official monuments and inscriptions, all commissioned by those in power. If a royal identity could be erased and replaced on an object as significant as the funerary mask, then entire reigns, names, and events may also have been deliberately altered or removed from the historical record. Tutankhamun's mask thus became more than an artifact. It became evidence of historical manipulation. It suggested that the transition from Akhenaten's religious upheaval back to traditional worship was not smooth, but chaotic. Objects were repurposed, identities reassigned, and symbols rewritten in a desperate effort to preserve order. For modern scholars, this transformed the story of Tutankhamun. He was no longer just the boy king remembered for a golden face. He became a ruler caught in the collapse of an era, buried with objects that bore the marks of uncertainty and fear. The mask, once admired purely for its beauty, now spoke of power, instability, and the fragile nature of truth. And it left behind a haunting question. If history could be reshaped so completely in gold, how much of what we know about ancient Egypt was decided not by truth, but by survival? The questions that refuse to die. When the story of the mask is viewed as a whole, one fact becomes impossible to ignore. Every answer uncovered has created even more questions. Rather than closing the case on Tutankhamun, the discoveries surrounding his mask have reopened debates Egyptology once considered settled. If the mask was altered, reused, and reassigned, then scholars must reconsider the final years of the 18th dynasty itself. Who truly held power after Akhenaten's death? How many rulers were erased or pushed into silence to stabilize the throne? Figures such as Nefertiti, Smenkhkare, and even Nefertiti remain wrapped in uncertainty, their reigns broken by conflicting inscriptions and missing records. The mask strengthens the argument that this era was not a smooth transition, but a time of quiet desperation behind palace walls. There are also unresolved questions about intention. Was the reuse of the mask simply a response to urgency, Or was it a calculated political decision? By transferring a royal identity onto Tutankhamun, the court may have been doing more than preparing a burial. It may have been sealing away a dangerous past, hiding controversy beneath layers of gold, ritual, and sacred symbolism. Tutankhamun himself becomes more difficult to define. His reign is often remembered as a return to tradition, yet the evidence from his burial points toward instability rather than victory. Rushed adaptations, reused funerary objects, and altered symbols suggest a kingdom scrambling to maintain order after the sudden death of a young king. Modern research continues to deepen this mystery. Each new analytical method adds clarity to the material details, yet refuses to deliver a final answer. The mask does not reveal its history all at once. Instead, it releases fragments, forcing scholars to confront how much of ancient history was deliberately shaped, edited, and concealed. What makes this discovery so unsettling is not that it solves the mystery, but that it proves how carefully history can be rewritten. The mask, long seen as a timeless symbol of divine kingship, now stands as evidence that even the most sacred artifacts were subject to human decisions and political necessity. The story ends not with certainty, but with discomfort. Because if Egypt's most famous object could hide a transformed identity for more than 3,000 years, then the greatest mystery may not be who King Tut was, but who disappeared so that he could stand alone in history. What the future holds for the mask. Even after decades of study, Tutankhamun's mask continues to surprise and intrigue. Advances in imaging, materials analysis, and digital modeling promise to uncover even more secrets hidden within its golden layers. Every scan brings new insights into ancient craftsmanship, political decisions, and the hidden history of Egypt's most famous tomb. Future research may reveal more about the mask's original construction, the sequence of modifications, and even the identity of the individuals who influenced its design. Each discovery has the potential to rewrite what we know about the late 18th dynasty, offering a clearer picture of the turbulent times that shaped Tutankhamun's brief reign. The mask also challenges how museums, historians, and the public view artifacts. It reminds us that objects are not static. They carry the memory of their creation, adaptation, and preservation. By applying new scientific techniques, scholars are able to read history directly from materials that have endured for thousands of years. As technology progresses, the golden mask will continue to act as a bridge between past and present, revealing the hidden stories of a civilization that prized both eternity and appearance. It stands as a symbol of human curiosity, showing that even the most famous treasures still have lessons to teach. In the end, Tutankhamun's mask is more than a relic. It is a living archive, a story in gold, and a reminder that the past, no matter how polished or perfected, always has secrets waiting to be discovered. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video.